You know what else is a surprise? Me hitting the record button.
You know what else is a surprise? That a game between the 14th place in the West and the 12th place in the East teams is 0-0 through 2/3 of the match.
Yeah, but they had a penalty save.
Yeah, but it's been dead ever since.
Even the penalty save was probably dead.
It was an awful pen. This is very not MLS 4.0 from the Canadian sides. They haven't caught up yet. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 26. I'll call it 26A, episode 26A of the Designated Players Podcast. We are currently recording an episode that we weren't planning on doing, but because of a very special event that happened this week, we had to fit it in there. The Seattle Sounders are your CONCACAF Champions League champions. We have finally done it. We knocked out that mental block that we had about beating Mexican teams in the Champions League final. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about its effect on the league. We're going to talk about its effect on the country. And we're going to talk about what this means for the reputation of Seattle in general. On top of that, to fill the rest of the episode, we talked about Zlatan making some
Zlatan being Zlatan.
Zlatan being Zlatan. That's the best way you can put it. My man is a slanderous human being, apparently, when it comes to things that he thinks is below him, which is not out of the normal, but he made some comments about MLS, and we're going to talk about it and have a dive into history a little bit. And then finally, we got some new stadiums to talk about. Nashville and Inter Miami are either in or working on new stadiums, and certain teams that shall remain nameless are still searching. So we'll talk about that as well. But before we do any of that, as always, scarf of the week. What do you got?
Well, I brought out a scarf for a topic that you don't want to talk about, so I'm going to force my way in with it. Orlando City have bought the legendary Jake Mulroney.
Oh, what a double save! Oh no, Thomas Hasal. Oh, they called it off.
You just interrupted my scarf of the week.
Oh, Thomas Hasal just got kicked in the head, though.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, that's not great. That's not ideal. It's not like you got a Maxime Crepeau on the bench to fill in. Sorry,
Cody Cropper.
We are recording this during the Vancouver-Toronto game, so
we'll get if you couldn't tell.
Whoa. Freeze. The New York Mets update as of right now, top of the fourth, 2-1 Mets after losing a heartbreaker in the first game of the doubleheader. That is your Mets update. Hasal makes a diving save, great double, and then tries to put his hand on the ball, doesn't get there. And as I think it was DeAndre Kerr came in to score the rebound, kicked him in the hand. So he didn't get in the head, but he got kicked straight in the finger. That'll hurt. Anyways, Continue with your scarf for the week.
Yes. Orlando City have purchased Jake Mulroney from Atlanta United for, I believe, $275,000 in GAM. And for those that don't know, Jake Mulroney is a legend of the podcast. We should just make a list of all those people because we have a pretty good list of them.
That's what we'll do. We'll rearrange our board here and just make like this half of it. We'll like get rid of all of the episode details and just make a list of legends of the podcast.
Yeah, the DP Pod Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean it's all going to be Adam's hype train. That's okay.
Yeah, majority will be Adam's hype train.
So you can see that I'm not currently wearing mine. First of all, because we need to talk about the fact that we are staying up. My boys Everton did another crucial win against Leicester this weekend. We are staying up. If we can get one more good result, I'm here for it. But I'm also not wearing it because I'm breaking out a new scarf. I will give you one on-air guess. It's not MLS, not USMNT, not European.
Ooh, not European.
I'll give you, they're bringing on Cody Cropper, by the way.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, it looks like Hasal probably broke something. It didn't look good.
Yikes. Things get even worse for Vancouver. All right, so now is this even soccer?
Yes, it is.
Non-European. Oh man. Did you get a Mexico scarf? Not the national team, but like a That doesn't count as my guess.
Yeah, as you're thinking, Hasal's coming off with bags of ice on both sides of his hand. Yeah, that's broken. He broke a finger or something. He'll be out a few weeks.
Yikes. Good thing they got Cody Cropper. I'm going to guess Palmeiras.
You were never going to guess. I just want to see where your head was at.
Ah,
The brand new USL1 club in Lexington, Kentucky. Lexington SC has gotten their merchandise out. Had it not been for some predetermined career change is in my life, I would actually be coaching in this youth setup. They had a team for me and everything, but I'm going back to school, so
nerd.
Unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, even before I made the decision, I had the scarf on the order. I needed to get one for the local club here. Really cool guy. The sporting director is a really neat guy. Sam Stockley is doing a lot of really good things for the area and what's going on here. So really excited to follow them along as I continue my journey back to research land. But yeah, had to break that out. Nice. I love the colors, by the way. Look at that. Look at that lime green.
It is a nice color.
Yeah,
It's upside down though.
I know. What would it be a scarf of the week if it wasn't an upside down scarf?
That's pretty fair. That's true.
So that's my new one. But why don't we dive into our first topic? Seattle Sounders, champions of CONCACAF, Club World Cup participants for the first time ever for Seattle, and for the first time since like 1998 in MLS. Instant reaction. What are you thinking?
It was coming. It was bound to happen eventually. And I'm very much not surprised that it was Seattle that was first to get to that finish line, because this organization is run. I mean, if you're a new team coming into the league and you want to model your organization after another team, the Seattle Sounders are your team. This team has only known success, doesn't know what it's like to fail in this league, and has continued to push. What's the right way to say this? Like, push the boundaries on what an MLS team is capable of. So,
yeah,
hats off to them. Fully deserved. I mean, they stomped Pumas in that second leg. I mean, it was an emphatic win. It wasn't like, oh, you just scraped by. Like, no, they won that pretty easily. So, obviously, great for the league. We'll touch into that. We'll touch on that more later, but not surprising to see that it happened, and not surprising that it was Seattle.
I agree. We will definitely dive into a little bit more, but I got 33 minutes of battery life left. I gotta get my charger. And we'll dive into this a little bit more, but I do think this is the anomaly still. I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, we're never going to lose another one. We're going to lose another one. I can guarantee you we will lose another one, because Seattle are deep, but I don't want to put it this way, but they got lucky with how deep they are, right? 16-year-old Obed Vargas filled in for João Pedro and didn't miss a beat.
João Pedro or João Paulo?
João Pedro. Yes, no, maybe. But any other person who puts a 16-year-old on the field is going to get rocked, right? That's a great find. It's a great development, but not every team has that. It goes back to the conversation of needing deeper spending limits and stuff like that. The other thing I think we have a little bit to, I don't want to say thank, it's a awful thing that happened, but the big break that league took because of what happened terribly in the Querétaro incident way back in, what was it now, early March maybe, definitely gave them a leg up because they still had to play those games. So I don't want to harp on that because that's such a terrible thing to watch through, but this is a great step forward, no question. We'll talk about how we repeat it and how we continue to find some success, but I don't think that we're just never going to lose another one. I don't think we are now the kings of CONCACAF, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Pause. So obviously, right, a great achievement for Seattle, for the league. What do you think it means for the country? What do you think this means for soccer in this country now that we are competing in a Club World Cup? We are Champions League winners of our confederation. What does it mean?
I almost feel like I don't think it has the meaning that it should. I think if the US were to be successful in the World Cup, I think that would do more for MLS than Seattle winning the CONCACAF Champions League. I think it's obviously great and it's going to help grow the league more, but I don't think people value the Club World Championship as much as they do like just winning the European Champions League. I think winning that competition has a lot more weight to it than like watching Chelsea go beat the best team in like Saudi Arabia or watching them beat the best team in Brazil. Because like I mean, as great as teams may be in their respective leagues, I think if you compare them to what the spending power and super teams that Europe's able to build, I mean they really don't stand too much of a chance. I think it's a good opportunity to get the Seattle name out there more because some people will obviously still watch the Club World Championships, but I don't think it will do a ton for the league, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you. I think so. What I did is after we won, I sent a picture of them winning in our Instagram group chat and asked people basically, did you even know the game was happening? Does this change your view on anything? Nobody knew it was happening. Nobody gave a flying frick about anything that happened. This does not offset Eurosnobism. This doesn't do anything other than give, honestly, it gives them more of a level of excuse, an excuse platform, if you will, right? Oh, well, you only have one. Liga MX still has a ton more, or you got one, but you got lucky because of X, Y, and Z, or that's not even the real. I got one I wouldn't even call that a Champions League. That was another comment that I got. So I don't think outside of like the Pacific Northwest, this held any weight at all, which is a problem. But I completely agree with you in the fact that the men's national team performing well at the World Cup with MLS players, which is going to be scarce, by the way, would do better for the league than what Seattle did. Not saying that what Seattle did was not massive. So I kind of separate into two groups: MLS fans and the general soccer public, right? MLS fans understand that this is massive. MLS fans understand that this is a massive step forward for the league, for the country, and for improving. I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this. For the people who understand what it means, it matters that much more. For the people who don't know what it meant for the league or the history behind it, it means nothing, and it won't ever mean anything. Now, unfortunately, I don't think if we win 10 in a row, anybody's going to care. Because people still have that mindset of, oh, well, it's just CONCACAF, it's not Europe, right? And again, that's what we're trying to fix here. That's what the board says, but I don't think that's fixed with a few CONCACAF Champions League titles.
Yeah, I think honestly, if MLS were to continue to produce good young talents, I think that would do way more for the league than Seattle going to the Club World Championships every year or whatever. I just think if teams in Europe start getting these young guys from MLS and they start to produce and play well, like an Alphonso Davies, now all of a sudden your attention is on MLS. Like, oh wow, they actually like are producing good young talent. Hey, if we can like get ahead of the game if we like pay attention to what's going on over there. Maybe we can find the next guy that's moving on and is going to be big in Europe. So I think like I agree with you in the fact that like you and I really like appreciate what Seattle was able to accomplish, but someone like I don't know if I have a good example, but just someone who follows, let's just say, European soccer, but lives in
Any
the
of my
US.
college teammates.
Sure. Any of your college teammates. They obviously aren't going to care about Seattle winning this. They would only care if Seattle sent like Obed Vargas to go play for Arsenal, and Vargas gets minutes and it starts becoming a regular for Arsenal now. I think they would care a lot more about Seattle then than they would Seattle winning the CONCACAF Champions League.
I'm going to flip that. I don't think they give a damn where he came from. Because how many people do you think respect Vancouver for creating Alphonso Davies?
Well, you got to get some consistency with it. If it's a one-off thing, I don't think they'll care. But if you're consistently sending guys to Europe and they're playing well, I think people will start to care.
I think that's an agree to disagree. I don't think they would care at all because Euro snobism at its roots is I'm missing the word. Discrediting of the league itself, whether it be player development, whether it be competition, whether it be success, any opportunity they have to discredit the league is what those people will do. So until we can attack that head on, which I still don't have a good answer for really, you won't get that, right? And really, I think what it comes down to is money. And we've talked about this, but until you're spending the way that the Premier League is, people aren't going to care because the only people don't want to watch development, right? We can appreciate development because it's something that we can be present in, right? We can go watch a Red Bull game. We can go watch an FC Cincinnati game. We can go watch any game that's relatively
Vancouver versus Toronto game.
Vancouver versus Toronto, which is making my eyes bleed. It has been awful. Because we're so invested in the league already based off of having a team that we grew up near, it makes it easy for us to appreciate what development is. But for the people who have only watched teams like Man City, Barcelona, and all those other teams who have just bought the best players in the world for decades, maybe not decades, right? That's a stretch, but who've only bought the best players in the world every time they've had a chance to. Pep Guardiola buying $1 billion worth of defenders over a 3-year span. They don't appreciate the mistakes that we watch and then have them come back next year and say, man, he has made a complete 180 in the way that he plays. And that's just the way it is. So unless we want to get away from that and sink a ton of money into what we're doing, nobody's going to appreciate it, which is unfortunate. So to tie this all back, Seattle Sounders winning the Champions League is fantastic for people who understand what it means. For the people who don't get it, they never will.
Yeah, I think there's a huge demographic of people here in the US that watch the sport, but they follow Europe solely, not the local leagues, which I think you're definitely right. If you're going to turn those people around, you just got to like unleash the spending, go let them sign the Ronaldos and the Messis, because that's the only way you're going to get these people to care about the league around here. They're not going to care about the development like you and I would.
Right. Because the majority of them only care about what they can do on FIFA. Right. If you're not signing 89 rated players, you're washed, man. You know, and that's disappointing. And I've sat down and had conversations, some very good conversations, right, of what you should be looking for and what what this is about. And I've had some other ones that have been just a waste of time because, again, at its heart, at its roots, Eurosnobism is a discrediting of MLS, plain and simple, for no reason other than it's funny and they want to. They don't even have the data to back it up. They don't have anything to prove anything other than the fact that 20 years ago, this was a retirement league and I haven't watched anything since. So because I don't know about it, it's just still a retirement league. We've gone into that too. We've got lots of episodes to link on this one. Just go watch every episode. We talk about it at some point. All 102 of them.
Exactly.
So let me flip this for a second. So we talked about what it means for the country, not so much. And we talked about how the people who know about it, it matters. What does it mean for the league? And what does the league do in response to this, do you think?
I don't know if it changes a lot for the league, but I think it's a great sign of a turning point for this league. Because if you looked a few years ago, I guess probably at this point, it's a little bit more than a few years ago. Maybe let's just say 10 years ago, right? Like 2012, the end of the LA Galaxy.
Oh my God, 2012 was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm old.
The end of the LA Galaxy dynasty, let's say around that period. You don't look at these MLS teams and think, yeah, these teams can compete consistently winning CONCACAF Champions Leagues. Like you could still tell there was work to do. We were still behind the 8 ball when it came to playing against Liga MX. And now with in the recent years, obviously we've seen the league improve a ton with the quality, with the type of players that they're bringing in, even just with like the academies of teams. And we knew we were building towards being able to get over that hurdle and win our first CONCACAF Champions League. And I think that would open the floodgates to us being able to win many more. I'm not saying all of them, obviously. We're not going to win every single one, but to getting over that hurdle the first time, I think would give teams a lot more confidence going into the competition. So I think this is huge as a turning point to show like, okay, this progress that we've been putting in the past few years, it's actually paying off. Like we're starting to improve internationally, like not even just within the league. We're starting to obviously get to a better standard as compared to leagues around, at least right now, just around the local area. So I think I don't think it will change too much for the league, but I think it's a great benchmark to show that like the work and the progress that teams are making is paying off, and that the league is actually improving rather than just thinking, okay, we're just getting better than where we were in 2013.
I agree. I think that's a really good point. I don't know if it necessarily changes a ton. I'd like to think it does, but you're right. If you go off of the that mindset, right, of the mindset, what I'm looking for, the mindset of proof is in the pudding, right? Everything they've done has taken a slow and steady increase to being successful on this stage, which was a massive goal, right? Oh, I bet you they went out with a 5-year plan that said, by the end of 2025, we want to win 2 CONCACAF Champions League, whatever. And they're on pace for it. Mm-hmm. But how do you now turn that into, like I said, we're going to lose some, right? We're not just going to rule the world, but how do you get us as close to ruling the world as we can? And that goes back to money. But I've been thinking about this. The longer we have this conversation, I keep thinking about it. I don't think it's necessarily on the league. It's on the owners. The owners need to have the, como se dice, the guts. I'm going to use the term the guts to go out. And I think Toronto is doing a really good job of saying, we've got enough academy players right now, as I'm watching them now play 7 21-year-olds on the field right now. We've got enough academy players who, when we sell them on, are going to sell for 7-8 figures. We can go ahead and commit to buying Andrea Belotti, Lorenzo Insigne, all these players that put us on the face of the global market. And we can take that hit because we know if we spend, they're getting Lorenzo on a free with a $6 million contract, right? And let's say they get Belotti on a free with a $4 million contract or something like that, right? That's $10 million for a season. You sell, who's the guy we were talking about? Ralph Prisa, right? Was it Ralph Prisa who was in that academy?
They got a few guys. They got Marshall Ruddy.
Marshall Ruddy, Nelson. That's the one. I was thinking about Marshall Ruddy. Marshall Ruddy, who was in the Arsenal Academy at the beginning of the season. You sell him for 10 mil, you just broke even to have 2 world beaters on their stage, right? Then you go ahead and sell Ralph Priest or Jaden Nelson for 2 mil to a Belgian side. You're now positive, right? So you have to have that balance, right? And I think a lot of teams are getting there, but you have to have the owners who recognize it, right? And I won't even throw Robert Kraft under the bus too much, because he's gone out and gotten Carlos Hill, he's gone out and gotten Bo, and he's gone out and gotten Buxa, right? So I'm not going to throw him under there too much, but we need to find more owners like that, because that's what puts you, 1, more competitive on the international stage, and 2, become a place where people want to play. And that's something we've talked about a lot, is how do you make this league enjoyable?
Yeah, I think you gotta at least take the shot, right? Like, I would 10 times out of 10, I'd rather a situation like Atlanta where they've thrown a ton of money at players and we'd say like maybe 50% of them have panned out, versus an RSL who just throw money at nobody and then just watch their good players walk for pennies.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they developed Jefferson Savarino, let him go. I think they got a transfer fee for him, and they just bought him right back. They're the Chelsea of MLS, but with way less important players. Also, Toronto FC losing at the death off a 34-year-old to St. Ricketts tap in. I love it. I love it. Up the Vancouver Whitecaps, baby. Yeah, I would absolutely. So here's the thing, right? The other difference is you can either spend 15 mil on PT Martinez, South American Player of the Year, PT Martinez, or Marcelino Moreno, or Thiago Almada, or whatever. That still doesn't fix this, because Eurosnobs don't care about South Americans either. They slander that league just as much as they slander us. So how do you balance the two, right? Because I have that conversation all the time with people who, okay, we're at a point where we are buying $22 million rated players right now out of Argentina, and all these players who were, like I said, the Luis Diaz, who's playing for Liverpool right now, was like this close to a move to an LA side. And he turned it down to go to Liverpool, and obviously a good decision for him, right? If he comes to MLS, no one cares, even if he's putting up the numbers that he's putting up in Liverpool. But now that he's doing it at Liverpool, he's a world beater. It's so, again, Eurosnobs don't care about what happens in the South American leagues. Those players don't exist until they step foot on European soil. And that's what we need to fix is it's almost not even an MLS problem anymore. It's a world issue. Like, how do you get these people who are so fixated on the only people who spend money on their league and figure out how to make them care about other things? And that goes back to, do you like entertainment? Do you like a team? Or do you like the sport in general? Right? If you are there just for the entertainment or just for a certain team, you're most likely a Eurosnob, because that's where the best announcers are, right? And that's massive, by the way. When you listen to people announce the game properly, right? Pete Drury, for example, phenomenal. Love listening to him speak. Versus, and I'm only going to use him because I listen to him every week, Shep Messing, right? It's 2 completely different things. And I love Shep, by the way. I think he's really fun to listen to. But it's just different, right? I get that. And that's something where we need to improve as well. It's so well marketed over there. So well marketed that you don't even need to, like I said, they can draw people from all over the world without anything other than a really good marketing technique. And it works, because they've got the best, most expensive players, right? Football is a multi-billion-dollar industry over there. It's like what NFL is here. Unless you are truly, and I can't even say that, because now you've got, like, I've got a buddy who loves loves football, right? But he still won't follow MLS because he likes Barcelona more than he likes Premier League teams, right? Okay. So how do we now split that to Euro snob versus this? Now I'm just babbling on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, we're way off tangent.
I know. I'm babbling and thinking out loud, and we got into a Euro snob conversation, and now I'm going off. End of the day, it's money, right? So to try to draw this all back to where we're going, what should the league be doing to ensure that we are making a really good stamp on global football? Increase the amount that owners are allowed to spend, and then find owners who are willing to spend. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. All over the place, but you got back to the point at the end.
Yeah.
Still don't know what that has to do with Seattle, but that's all right.
And it looks like this is almost Vancouver with 3 points here. My final question for you, and this is something that was brought up that I not quite sure of yet. Is this Seattle Sounders side the best team in MLS history?
I can't say that yet. I can't, because they need more time in the league before I can say that. I think if Seattle wins the league, like Supporter Shield, I will say yes. I don't know if that's going to happen at this rate, though. They got a lot of work to do if they're going to do that.
If they win MLS Cup.
Oh, yes. But I still think a team would be able to top them at some point down the line. But yes, I think if they win Cup and they win Champions League, I will say that's the best team ever. Obviously, I guess it doesn't really matter where they finish in the league, because they'll have finished at least decent enough to make the playoffs. I have just like a side note question. Does CONCACAF Champions League work the same way as like European Champions League? So like, no matter where Seattle finishes this season, are they automatically in the competition next year?
I'm not quite sure.
So that would be interesting, because that would knock out a spot from somebody.
Well,
you would think so, right?
Is it? I don't know if it's next season or the season after. I believe that the Club World Cup goes to like 24 teams.
Oh, really? How does that work?
So both of those, and that's what I'm gonna look into really quick. Both of the teams that would have played on Tuesday of last week would have already been qualified.
Oh, so you just have to make the final to qualify then.
Yeah. So
that's lame.
Yeah, I know.
Give me the winners. It's the winners of the winners. I don't want to see like, some runner-up somewhere wins the Club World Cup and we're supposed to say they're the best team in the world. You couldn't even win your own competition. You want to tell me you're the best in the world?
So I'm looking here. CONCACAF Champions League to expand format in 2023. I thought I had heard something about them expanding as well. Current format will remain in place up through 2023. In 2023, which is next year, it will be a transition year with last edition under the current format played prior to the group stage. So it will be a regional group stage and a 16-team knockout round in the spring. So
that sounds pretty similar to the European one.
Yes, it mirrors that. In the fall, they play the group stage. North America, Central America, Caribbean teams. North America has 20 teams from Canada, Mexico, and the US, with the team split into 4 groups of 5 teams. Each will play a total of 4 group stage matches, 2 home, 2 away. Top 2 teams advance from each group, and then 3 more will qualify via play-in round. And then it goes into just what we've been used to. So yeah, it'll mirror that a lot more. And that'll start in 2024. The 2023 will be the last. So 2023 you'll have the 16 teams play for the final, And then in the fall of 2023, we'll start the 2024 cycle. So from there, then it gets a little confusing because then I don't know. You wouldn't have a spot in the finals, I don't think. The tournament, we were the first under a revised 27 teams. 5 of the teams. Oh, okay. 27 teams will qualify for the tournament. 5 will get directly to the round of 16. The 22 left will go to round 1.
Got it.
This is confusing.
That's not confusing. I mean, that's right up the alley for CONCACAF. Make it as confusing as possible.
I love it. So the team entering the round of 16 directly. Champion of League MX, MLS Cup champion, Leagues Cup champion. The Leagues Cup matters. Come on.
What's the League Cup again?
What? What do you mean what's the Leagues Cup? It's the annual competition between clubs from MLS and Liga MX, debuted in 2019 with 4 teams.
That was the thing. Didn't Atlanta win that? I thought they won the first one. I'll look it up.
What? No, I don't think it was. I don't think has MLS won Leagues Cup yet. No, I think you might have won Campeones Cup.
I can't keep up with all
How
this
could
stuff.
you forget, bro? But what's the point of Campeones Cup if we have league? Oh my god, I hate this league. I love it, but god, I hate this league. So 2019. Let me see.
It was Cruz Azul one, and then Leon beat
Leon
Seattle.
beat Seattle, so Seattle could have done it. Seattle really could have made a stamp for best dynasty.
Seattle's the best franchise in history. You can't argue that. Well, no, you could argue it, but
you absolutely
they're
could.
up there.
FC Cincinnati are on their way to the moon.
All right, settle down there. I would have given if you had said LA Galaxy, I would have given it to you, but
man,
wow.
It's a good
All right, wait, so it's those 3. What are the last 2?
Oh, I lost it. I closed the page out. You didn't let me prepare. The Caribbean Football Union Cup champion and the Union Centro America de Football. So basically it's the Mexican League, the winner of MLS, the winner of Leagues Cup, a team from the Caribbean, and a team from either Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, or Panama. Then Mexico gets 5 berths from their league. USA, Canada get some combination of like 7 berths. You get 4 from MLS, 1 from US Open Cup, 2 from the Canadian Premier League, and 1 for the Canadian Championship. Leagues Cup runner-up and 3rd place both get into round 1.
What?
League Cup is a 4-team tournament.
I didn't even qualify for the Leagues Cup.
I love MLS, bro. This doesn't happen anywhere else. And then, okay, you ready for this one? So the Caribbean Football Union, their runner-up and 3rd place also get into the round 1. The Central American Cup, your runner-up, 2 losing semifinalists, and then 2 play-in winners both get in. Oh man,
They're just handing out invitations to anybody now.
Well, that's how this whole thing works, right? Isn't that how this whole thing works? Is just get as many people playing as you can. That way you make the most money.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, what were we talking about?
I don't know. Is it? I think we covered. Are we moving on to Zlatan now?
No. All right, I didn't get to share my piece.
Nobody wants to hear your piece.
Are Seattle Sounders the best team in the league or in history? No. Do they have the possibility to do it? Yes. I think if you win, so it has to be any combination of obviously won the Champions League, massive. Need to either win one of Supporter Shield or MLS Cup to be even consideration. If you win one or both of them, or if you win both of them, I would say yes. If you win one of both, you need to finish top half in, like you can't finish bottom of the West and not make the playoffs at all. But if you make the playoffs, say like you sneak into the playoffs, win MLS Cup, if you go to US Open Cup or Leagues Cup or Campeones Cup and win one of those 3, I'd say you have a shout. Because at that point, then you are Toronto FC, but a step up, right? Because Toronto FC had the treble, but one of them was a Canadian championship, which I'm not knocking, by the way, but it's obviously not what it, it's not an MLS.
It's not the CONCACAF Champions League.
Yeah, exactly. So they had the US, or they had the Supporter Shield MLS Cup double with the CONCACAF Champions League, right? Then you had Red Bull or FC Dallas who did a double, right? A couple teams that did a double, but if you win Champions League and one other tournament and do relatively well in a third competition, I will say yes. All right, we're gonna have a lot of work to do after this podcast to figure out what is going on.
All right, shall we transition into Adam's favorite player of all time?
I hate him.
Adam or Zlatan?
Yes. On April 29th, 2022, Zlatan Ibrahimovic told ESPN he is the best player to ever feature in Major League Soccer. I'm trying to find the exact quote, but the problem was, I'm very happy. I'm very thankful for MLS because they gave me a chance to feel alive. But the problem was I was still too alive. So I was too good for the whole competition. That is what I showed. I'm the best player to ever play in MLS. And that is not me having an ego or trying to show off now. That is true. When I was there, I enjoyed it. I had a good time and I liked the way they were working. They were doing the way that they were doing the marketing stuff. I think playing in MLS is the best way for me to come back after my injury. I was in the best condition ever, and I'm very proud I played for the MLS. All right, guy, calling it the MLS.
Everybody calls it the MLS.
Yeah, but it's not the MLS. It's not the Major League Soccer.
I know.
Because they were saying to me, the stadiums are pretty empty when you play in that. There was no empty stadium when I was playing. It was even overbooked, so I cannot complain. I'm very happy I was there.
Honestly, that quote wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
You never, at 40 right now, is playing for Serie A, and even hinted he could follow Inter Miami owner David Beckham's path and create his own franchise. You never know. Maybe one day I'll be back. So to show them how, to give them a reminder of what real football is. So for 2 years, they get to see what real football is, and they will never see something like that before. Maybe I come back and I have my own club. You never know. I want to punch something after reading that. Oh God.
I mean, why do you expect anything less from him? I mean,
no, and that's his thing, right? He stirs the pot. He gets people angry. He gets people talking. And I will not take away anything that he's done. He is a phenomenal player, both in his entire career and when he was with the Galaxy. But there is not anything you could tell me to convince me that he was the best player to ever step foot on this league at all. Disagree?
Nope, I do not disagree.
You know,
I don't know if he meant like most talented player of all time to play in the league, or like most dominant when he was here. But either way,
both wrong.
Yeah, either way, it's wrong. Because when he was here, the first season, 2018, Josef outscored him. Granted, Josef had played more games still. Then 2019 was when Vela went nuts. And Vela was obviously better than him that season. And then even in terms of like the most talented player to ever play here, I mean, Thierry Henry exists. So, yeah, I mean, automatically you have, huge competition there. I mean, there's been a ton of legends that have played here, though. I mean, Gerrard, Lampard, Pirlo, even if they were way past it at that point, those guys were crazy talented. David Villa.
Just taking a look here on our good friend Transfer Market. He's got this really long list of awards, and just it's really weird that I don't see a single one from LA Galaxy.
Yeah. I don't even see a playoff appearance for the LA Galaxy.
You cannot walk onto this. Oh my God. You cannot try and convince me that you were the best player in a league with a playoff system that you didn't even get into, or an award for Golden Boot that you didn't even win. Disgusting. Awful. Terrible. Let's talk about our friend Thierry Henry. Even at the end of his time, still got a supporter shield. That's already better than what's his name?
Zlatan.
Zlatan. Already better than that guy. Made the playoffs every year he was here too. Granted, different time. But even then, right, you mentioned Carlos Vela, and he made that crack about Carlos Vela too, about, oh, well, how old is he and where was I when I was his age and whatever. Great. So you were, if you had come here at your age, sure, maybe you were competing, but 34 goals in a season is unreal. Supporter Shield champion, top scorer, got awful close in the Champions League too. Something he didn't get to play in either. I would have loved to see Zlatan go up against some guy from Pumas, just folding him in half. I'm trying to think of just players off the top of my head that I would consider. Let's stay in the team. He's not even the best player to play for LA Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean that's tough competition.
You can argue, so you can. I will sit here and listen to an argument that says that, like, career-wise, maybe up there with one of the best players ever to be in the league. I get it, but for his time here, all he had were a bunch of goals that got his team nowhere near the playoffs.
He did make the playoffs in 2019.
No, don't give me that. I know that.
But they lost to their rivals in the quarterfinals. So like
that was a great game, by the way.
5-3. That's wild. What a playoff game.
Right. So David Beckham was a part of that Manchester United squad that was unbelievable. And then went in and won 2 Supporter Shield, 2 MLS Cups, while changing the face of the league, right? Zlatan came in, scored what, 50-something goals in 40-something games or something like that?
Yeah, I think he had this says
I thought it was
50,
like 52, right?
Yeah, this Wikipedia says 53 and 58. I think MLS says, let's see, 30, 52 in 56. I think it's 52 goals and 56 appearances is what MLS says.
A phenomenal goal scoring record. I will not take that away from him. The man could score goals. That is his job. That's what he does. I will never sit here and try and say that he is not a good player. But he's not even, man, I wouldn't even put him top 10.
What are you comparing it on? Just like all-time MLS career?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's here only 2 years.
Sure, but even if I'm going to go, there are players who have been, I'll take 2-year periods of any player that you want. I could probably find 10 players, so I would have taken over Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I don't know. I would say I'd argue he was the most dominant LA Galaxy player of all time. But obviously his period was super short-lived, and he was only here for 2 years. The Galaxy were bad both years that he was here. There's only so much the guy can do on his own. I mean, he can't defend for this team, can't play in goal for the team. So, I mean, he did what he could. I'm not saying that he's the best to ever play here, but, you know, credit where it's due. I mean, he's in the conversation, I would say. So not all-time career-wise, but.
So this goes back to something, and I would love to get your opinion on this.
Sure.
We talk about what this league needs now in terms of star players. These comments that he makes, going back to the conversation we were just having 10 minutes ago, fuel this. This comes from stuff like that. By people thinking that a 38-year-old can walk on and just do that and then walk away and think he's the best best person in the world or whatever. That comes from people like that. So my question for you is, would you have rather had Zlatan in the league, or would you have rather gone on and tried to build without him?
No, I'd rather I'd rather him be in the league. And I think a lot of those people had merit in what they were saying at first, if it weren't for the fact that he went to AC Milan and was tearing up Serie A as well. So you can't make the argument that like, oh, MLS is just so bad that a 38-year-old Zlatan can walk into that league and tear it apart. When he left afterwards and was older, went to Serie A and was tearing them apart. In 2020, 2021 season, he had 15 goals and 8 man of the match awards in 18 starts. I mean, that's dominance. I mean, it's not to the level that he was in MLS, but none of us are arguing that MLS is on the level of Serie A. But to say that like just because he was old and was able to dominate does not discredit the league. I think it just gives Zlatan credit to what he's able to do at such an old age or older age.
Correct. I think, and I said this before I even started, I take nothing away from his ability as a person. He is otherworldly. Nobody should be able to do what he's doing at his age. And I give him complete credit for that. But I don't even put him in my top 10 of people of MLS of all time. I just don't.
I probably wouldn't either. I think if you gave him like 4 seasons, though, he probably would be.
Correct. I think if you work himself in, right? But I don't think that I would maybe back in 2018, I'm like, okay, great. He's here. People will watch. I know it was buzzing for a while because he was coming over, but it only lives for so long, right? There were tons of people who were like, oh, Zlatan's first game. You know, again, it's that first game kind of mindset, right? Oh, Zlatan's first game. I can't wait to watch it or whatever. And then, right, he does that thing in El Clasico where he scores the unbelievable 40-yard half volley, right? That's awesome. 4 weeks later, nobody cares. So is it worth it for a 4-week spike in attendance to have him come back and hurt our league that way? I don't know.
When you say come back, you mean like
with those comments? Come back with those comments.
No, I mean I'd still take him. What's your alternative? You gonna go watch? I don't know. I don't want to like throw a name under the bus. But you're gonna tell me you'd rather watch Musovski or no? I think that's Am I mixing up the LA team there?
Let me say this. I think LA was the right spot for him.
It had to be.
Had to be.
It wasn't going to go to like a San Jose.
No, for sure. And I think LA was the right spot for him. However, LA could do better. I think Chicharito's been miles better than Zlatan in terms of what he's done. In terms of what he's done for the league. I think that on outside of his 1 year, right, his first year without Zlatan, where he was rattled by Adam's comments week by week. Once Adam, has taken his extended break, Chicharito's been on fire.
That's a fair point,
right? So, listen, you're looking at a guy. Let me look at transfer market here really quick just to get my numbers accurate. But outside of an injury, I'm pretty sure last season, if I remember correctly, he was on a goal a game. Was he not? Wasn't it like 17 and 18?
Yeah, he was on a great pace.
Yeah, 17 and 21 games. He's got 5 and 9 right now. Zlatan, my good friend, him and I, we go back.
Zlatan did the same thing in 2019. 30 goals, 29 games.
Right? So Zlatan's on a better, but still a similar pace. And Chicharito's not coming out and saying, I'm the greatest player in this league.
Well, Zlatan also did it over a full season. Chicharito has only done it for like half the season so far.
Right.
He got hurt. Obviously not his fault.
He got hurt. But what I'm saying is, it's not like you have replaced him with somebody who cannot produce. So you can find somebody who can produce at that level.
Yeah, but does he draw in as much attention? No.
Correct. But now let me flip this and go back to the conversation that we were having, right? There's that balance between putting people in seats and product on the field. I think you can get you definitely cannot get somebody who will put people in the seats like Zlatan unless you're getting Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, right? But you can replace his productivity. And for that reason, there is no shot that Zlatan is the best player in MLS. No.
I don't think Chicharito has fully replaced what he brought to the table.
No,
I think
if
you give this Galaxy team Zlatan up top, they're not missing the playoffs last season.
I agree.
And who knows what they'd be capable of in the playoffs.
I know exactly what they'd be capable in the playoffs. What happened in 2019? Nothing.
He had a much worse team, I feel like, in 2019.
Sure.
Not to mention a worse coach, too. Give him Greg Vanney and a very solid team around him. I think he has much better chance to win stuff in this league.
I agree with that. I do. That being said, that doesn't give him the status of the best player ever if he had other players or other coaches. Right? When he was here, what did he do? He scored 53 goals in 58 games, had 15 assists, great. Made the playoffs once, did not win Golden Boot either year, and just talked a lot, right? Or
I think you're underselling it. I just think you're underselling it.
So, but here's the thing: you don't get to come in and make comments like that for people to not rationalize it the way that I'm rationalizing it, right? Because what you're trying to figure out is, what is the best player? What does it mean to be the best player? Best player helps his team be successful. He didn't help his team be successful.
What more do you want him to do?
It doesn't matter. He got one playoff appearance in 2 years, which is what FCC is going to be on pace for between this year and last year, by the way.
You can't cherry pick those stats like that.
Yes, I can, and I will. Listen, he's a great goal scorer. I will not take that away from him. You know who else is a really good goal scorer?
Who?
Bradley Wright Phillips.
Yeah, Bradley Wright Phillips had a much better team around him.
You know who else is a really good goal scorer?
Who?
Chris Wondolowski.
Neither of which were able to reach the dominance that Zlatan did. They just had longevity.
You sound like Adam.
It's just a fact. It's a fact. If you give Zlatan, if you had him play as long in this league as BWP and Wando did, he would blow them out of the water in stats. You can't even argue that. He would blow them out of the water.
Okay, hold on one sec. I'm going to get Josef Martinez,
Okay.
a goal every 100 minutes. Zlatan, a goal every 90 minutes. So like I said, great goal scorer. Who's better, Zlatan or Josef?
If you're talking overall over their career, obviously Josef has the better MLS career because Zlatan played 2 seasons here.
Correct.
I could pick Josef's last 2 seasons, and Zlatan would absolutely be better.
You can pick Josef last 2 seasons. He was hurt the last 2 seasons.
Okay.
Pick his first 2 seasons.
I don't want to pick his first 2 seasons.
Because it makes you sound dumb.
No, it doesn't.
First 2 years, Josef, I will take over first 2 years, Zlatan, any day of the week. Any day of the week.
You also had 36-year-old Zlatan versus like 27-year-old Josef.
Also fair. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that. And again, I don't take away from what he did at the age that he was doing it. I don't take any of that away. But I still think that there were people at his age, possibly. I don't know if anybody actually was at that age. I gotta fact check that. Or let me do this. Around his age, when he got here, who were more impactful. Again, this is a tougher now, as we dive into this further, this is actually a tougher conversation because your comparison is now 36-year-old Zlatan in MLS 3.0 versus 36-year-old Thierry Henry in MLS 1.5. And that's a tough that's tough. I get that. But I still think I would go. Oh my God. Tell me it's him. Alex Mouille with a goal. I'm also watching Nashville versus RSL as we talk about this, but to the moon, Alex Mouille.
You're getting distracted.
No, was it not Alex Mouille?
Was it not?
Dang it, Dave Romney. Stop looking like Alex.
If you could find me another 36-year-old that was able to actually forget the age conversation. I agree with you. Zlatan is not the greatest to have ever played in MLS. That is a fact. But he's arguably, not saying this is, set either, but he's arguably one of the most dominant players to have played in this league. And if he had a career as long in this league as Wando or BWP, he would be the best player to have ever played in this league. I will say that with the utmost confidence.
I will agree with you on that. But his point is that in his 2 years, he instantly became the best player in the league ever. Wrong. And I think we agree on that as well. It was Dave Romney. I'm disappointed. I'm sad. I thought Alex Mouille got his time in the spotlight. But listen, the reason I wanted to talk about this was to tie it back to the conversation we had earlier. Those comments are not needed anymore. Those comments hurt our league way more than it helps our league because of all the things that we've talked about already. It's detrimental to have somebody walk in and just bash the league. Oh, it's a place where I went to, rehab my injury. It's a place where I can, what was the other one that he said? It was a place where the stadium comment. It was a place where everywhere I went, people came to see me, and that's all that matters, right? It's a very me versus the league thing, and that is not what we need anymore. MLS 4.0 is past that.
How much does that really hurt the league, though? I mean, if you're talking Euro snobs, they already thought that.
Well, here's the thing. You're right. They already thought it. That hurts the league more than Seattle winning CONCACAF Champions League helps the league, because now it adds one more thing. Think of it like an onion. Eurosnobism is an onion. All right, let's talk about a metaphor. Eurosnobism is an onion. At its root is discrediting MLS as a whole, whether it be the style of play, whether it be the talent of play, whether it be the weird rules that we play by, which are great, by the way, whether it be any of those things, right? That is what's at our core. Each time something like this happens, it just adds another layer that you have to break down before you get to the core and fix the issue, right? So the issue is, how thick are those layers, right? And with true Eurosnobism, I'm going to put ES, right? This is your first layer, right? Depending on who you have, depending on the Eurosnob that you have, is how thick your layers are. So you can have something like that, or your next layer could be that big. And you have to, just to get to the next layer. And really, as you are working your way down, you might have somebody yesing you to death, like, oh yeah, I agree. When realistically, they're just putting you this way, and you're creating a whole nother layer of Eurosnobism. Eurosnobism is an onion, people. That's what we've learned today. And comments from Zlatan Ibrahimovic about being the best player in the league after 2 seasons at 30 whatever years old are creating more layers of that onion that we now need to break down. So I would rather have players like Chicharito, who have a very similar output, or Josef Martinez, who has a very similar output and are not terrible in terms of what the league is, then bring those people in for 2 seasons. Giovinco, to continue on with this, also made similar comments like that, but you could tell they were out of salt, right? You saw him basically was like, oh, I want to come back and play. Toronto said, no, we're good. We're going to get Insigne. And then he was like, yeah, I'd go too if I was getting all this money, blah, 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 blah. Clearly out of spite. Those Zlatan comments were clearly out of disrespect for the league. And I don't need that.
I think you're totally overblowing what he said.
We're making content, damn it.
I completely agree with the fact that he was not the best to ever play in this league, but I guarantee you I can go Google and find him making the exact same comments for Ligue 1 and Serie A as well. I mean, I guarantee you he made the same comments. I'm the best to ever have played in those leagues. Like, that's just what Zlatan does.
But here's the issue. Those leagues don't need to fight for respect or relevancy.
But Zlatan making these comments isn't going to change it. I mean, the people that believe him already believed it anyway.
Connor, did you not just listen to the onion metaphor? What did I just say?
I think that some of his comments would actually help to peel off the onion. I mean, he talked about how when he was here, wait, let me find the quotes again. He said,
the only good thing that he had in those quotes were, I liked what they were doing. They were marketing well, which is a lie, by the way. We market like crap.
That's not the only good thing that he said. He said, okay, so the best ever play here, I think that's wrong, but that's just Zlatan. That's just how he is. He said this stuff about the marketing. He said they're doing really good marketing work. He said that when he was here, he was in the best condition he's ever, which I think is a good sign for at least the physio part of the game here.
That's a lie. Atlanta has 20 injuries right now.
All right, well, that's a team thing. That's not necessarily a Galaxy thing.
Also,
and then he also talked about how they're.
I don't think Eurosnobs care about if we have good physios. I'm just
no, probably not.
Just gonna toss that one out there.
No, you're probably right. They're not, but the players might. You know, if a player is thinking about it.
Okay.
And then he also mentions that when he was playing here, you know, he expected empty stadiums. However, he said they were even overbooked when it came to attendance at games. And I absolutely think Eurosnobs think that the league is dead and nobody watches games because they probably look at, you know, like 2015 RSL attendance and they're like, oh, it's dead there.
I will take back that part of it because I took that in a completely different light when I read that, because the way ESPN did it is they split that quote up about the stadiums. So as I was skewing, I didn't read that first part about they were saying that the stadiums are pretty empty when you play there. And I just went to, there were no empty stadiums when I was playing. The way I read that was
people came to see me.
People came to see me. I will draw back on that comment. I think he did that well. I'll drop back on that. Still do not take away the fact that, and this might not even be a Zlatan thing anymore. This might be the media and the marketing. He talks about good marketing when ESPN comes in, ESPN FC comes in and is like, yes, Zlatan's the best player who ever played in this league. Right? That was the only quote that they put there. They didn't put any of the good stuff. They were just like, yeah, Zlatan, best player in the league. Fire.
Yeah, they're a media company at the end of the day.
They got to get clicks. I get it. But I will not sit here and have somebody tell me he is the best player in the league. I won't do it.
I mean, it's great that he still wants to even like consider being involved down the line. Like if he wants to come back here and potentially start up a team here as well, just like Beckham did. Obviously, you know, he doesn't have the merit that Beckham did to garner having his own team. I mean, I think that was like in Beckham's contract when he was here, but
I also don't think that he would be a good owner personally.
No, probably not. But the fact that he's like even considering it, I think it's good. I mean, he could be considering looking at it. I mean, he could be considering a team in Sweden, but he mentions MLS instead. I feel like if he really didn't like what was going on here, why would he consider like possibly owning a team here? Because like you can't say like, oh, it'll just be because that's where he'll have his opportunity. Like you can't tell me a team in Sweden wouldn't let Zlatan be an owner. Like I don't believe that for a second.
For sure. Here's how I'll end this. You cannot convince me that he is even a top 10 player in the history of MLS. However, you can absolutely convince me that he's a top 5 most influential player ever. That you can convince me of. Of the personalities this league has brought in over the last 26, 27 years, you can tell me he is the top 5 most influential player to step in.
I think he is a top 10 MLS player of all time. I think he is not a top 10 MLS career. That's how I would say it. It's pretty much, I think it's exactly along the lines of what you were saying.
When you say top 10 MLS player, do you mean in his time here he was top 10, or over his career he is the top 10 like most important people, like most decorated?
Like talent he brought to the field while he was playing in MLS.
That'd be a really good episode. That'd be a really good episode.
That'd be tough. That'd be a tough episode.
We need to get an MLS 1.0 on here to have that conversation so we can.
Oh, yeah, let's not include those at all.
No.
You think MLS? You put Zlatan in 1998 MLS. He's scoring 100 goals a season. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I'll give you that one.
We could just skip that whole decade, probably. Sorry, old MLS fans, but it's probably just the truth, to be honest with you.
All right. Do we even want to talk about stadiums at this point? I think we've got a ton of really good content.
Oh yeah, we covered a ton just with the first two.
Yeah, I think we'll put stadiums off until New York City gets one. So
we can. How about we swap this? I have a question of the day for you.
I'll take question of the day.
Okay. Actually, we could do this instead of the stadium one because it's actually a stadium related. This is about Nashville Stadium, their newest one. Would you rather have a soccer specific stadium that seats 30,000 people or a shared stadium that seats 75,000?
30,000 soccer specific every day of the week.
Wow.
Atmosphere.
Why?
Atmosphere. If you do it right, escúchame. If you do it right, then that is the most feared place to play. You look at Portland, you look at Seattle, you look at those places that are terrifying to play in. And Nashville, I believe, is 30,000, which is one of the bigger ones in the league right now, versus, and I'll use just because we're talking about it, Yankee Stadium, right? Empty Yankee Stadium is awful to play in. Empty. So I know where you're going with this, with the whole Atlanta 60,000 a week thing. I get that. Not every place is going to get 60,000 a week. Red Bull can't even get 20, right?
That's Red Bull, though. I feel like
Correct.
Nashville could pull more than 30. And now they don't have an opportunity to unless they expand it.
MLS attendance. We did this whole attendance thing with the Charlotte, and I can't remember. There it is, Statista. Okay. Nashville averaged. Are these Major League Soccer teams ranked by average per? Can I dig into this farther? So I believe this takes into account away games as well. So I'm going to see if I can dig into this. Nashville averaged less than 20,000 last year. Is it World Football Net?
How much was the stadium?
Yeah. Hold on. So home matches in 2021, Nashville 18.2. Nashville stadium capacity.
You're probably gonna get the new stadium.
No, Nissan Stadium, which is where they are playing right now. Like before the new one opened up, they played in Nissan Stadium, 70,000 seats.
Now, yeah, but they probably didn't open the whole stadium.
Right, what did they open? But still, right, we're talking atmosphere. Even if you feel that's a 30,000, like I said, put 18,000 people, 19,000 people in a 70,000 seat arena, it's basically empty. Put 19,000 people in a 30,000 seat arena, it's rocking.
It depends on how much you open up. I feel like Nashville could hit 30,000. The team's good. Clearly, the South cares about the sport. Like you can't look at Atlanta and tell me that isn't great atmosphere. Like,
No, it's and I'm not disagreeing that. We are not at the point where we can make every stadium Old Trafford. We just can't.
yeah, I agree with you. But now if you're Nashville, you've locked yourself into the stadium now, where if the league does grow, you're stuck at 30,000 unless you expand.
Correct, but I think right now, I think they are in a very good spot for what they want to do.
I don't know if they've had any other home games other than the one right now. I'd be curious to know what their attendance was with the new stadium.
I think they sold out the new stadium, but again, first stadium. What do you call it? First stadium.
First game at the new stadium.
Yeah. So when they had their home match, they opened it up. They got 26,000 for their home playoff match.
So when and obviously this is, inflated numbers, but when they opened up their first game at Nissan Stadium or whatever it's called, they pulled, I think, nearly 60,000.
Sure, and Charlotte pulled 74. You know what they're averaging right now?
Yeah, but they're probably not opening up the whole stadium. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't pull 60K every single game, but they could probably get almost half of that, and then you sold out the stadium already. If you have a big game and you want to open it up more, you don't have that ability anymore.
What was I just going to Google? I was going to Google something. Can't remember. Oh, I know what I was going to do. 198,553 minus 74.
Yeah, when they played Philly, they drew 30,109 for the first game at the new stadium.
So if my numbers are correct here, and I mean I'd only be a few hundred off. After the 75,000 that Charlotte got in their first home game, they've been averaging 25,000 a game.
Yeah, but I wonder how much of that is actually available to them. I don't think they're opening up 75K every single match.
They're not. Charlotte FC attendance.
I don't know if someone tracks the percentage. It's hard. It's hard statistic to follow because you don't know exactly how much they open up. Like clearly, there's probably more.
Oh wait, no, we did this. We had this conversation. I think it was 39,000 that they were going to open up to. Yeah, 39,000 was what they were going to open up to. Or maybe 37,000, something like that. Yeah, maybe like 37,000 is what they're going to open to.
We'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what the attendance looks like for Nashville at the new stadium. I would take the 75K stadium, obviously.
Because you sit there and watch Atlanta every week, and Atlanta is brilliant. I will not.
Yeah, I think that's the gold standard for attendance.
Correct, but we can't get there. We're not there yet.
But if you lock yourself into a 30K soccer specific stadium, you don't have a choice. You're stuck at 30K.
They got 30K once.
I know, but it's not like next season they're going to be at a new stadium.
An increase that is not mathematically there.
Not yet.
Yeah, but you can't predict I think this might happen. It's not how that works. Get 30K, fill it with 25, the place rocks. Get 75K, fill it with 25, you're playing at Red Bull Arena. Congratulations.
Red Bull Arena is a soccer specific stadium.
And listen, I think it's awful, right? But Nashville, Atlanta, and I'll take Atlanta away from it, right? Nashville, Cincinnati, all those places are in good, easy to access locations. Red Bull Arena is not. We've had this conversation. We don't need to spend another 15 minutes on it. But listen, Red Bull are set up to be it's a beautiful stadium. It's wonderful. It's in a crappy part of town, but when that place was full, it rocks. It's just the way it is. But if you put that number of fans, like I said, if Red Bull was still playing at Giant Stadium, it's a ghost town. There's no point. You take the Soccer Pacific with 30,000 seats every day of the week until we can prove that we can get to that level consistently, which we cannot yet, and that's okay.
I still disagree, but to each their own.
You are more than welcome to have incorrect opinions. You know that is okay.
I don't think I have an incorrect opinion on this one, but that's fine.
Yeah, okay. Thanks everybody for listening to episode 26A of the Designated Players Podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Make sure you're following us anywhere you get your podcasts so you know when we go live. Make sure you're following us on all forms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, so you know when our clips go live. You can interact with us. You can talk with us when we live tweet games. Live streams are coming back soon once the soccer season. Oh, there it goes. Perfect. Nashville, the game that they're playing right now in their brand new stadium, after having 30,000 last week, 28-226. It's week 2 in their new stadium.
In fairness, they're playing RSL.
Doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, it does matter.
You can't expect to play rivals every week. That's going to happen.
Are we going to continue this conversation? Because I can continue it.
We'll continue it offline. Thanks everybody for listening. Hope you enjoy. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get podcasts, all forms of social media. Leave a comment what you think about the stadium situation. Hit us with a hashtag Connor's wrong in the comments so we can figure this out as Nashville goes forward with Hani Mukhtar. 2v2 if he can go. Has a finish and he misses the net. It's still 1-0. See you later, everybody. Peace.